Hi, this is Bernice, and this week we are going to start to make the website responsive. So we had a basic website, and this week we are going to start designing mobile first to make it responsive. And this week is only for the mobile. We're going to make it a mobile website. So that will is going to look a little different. This page here right now, it'll just be, we won't have the other sizes configured yet for tablet or desktop. The mobile site, it's going to look a little different. The header and the navigation is going to be a little bit different here. Last week, I'll show you last week. So this is what it looked like last week. And we had the mobile viewport in there, but we didn't have and responsive images. But this week, what we're going to start adding are the media queries. We're going to start setting that up for the media queries. So this is what it looked like last week. And this week, we're just designing the mobile website. So it's going to look different. So let me go to the index.html. Okay, so we're back to what it's going to look like this week. So what we are going to do is we have this viewport in there to make it to scale to the device width, the viewport, which is the area that it's visible on the screen. So it's going to adjust for that. And then we also have a Google font in here that we can add. What we're going to do is we're changing the header area. So we're going to basically have in the header area, we're going to have one div with a class of tab dash desk, tablet and desktop. And that's going to be the header that was last week's. And then the second one, this div is only for the class of mobile. So what we're seeing here is the mobile class. So this is only we're making two different divs. And what we'll do in the CSS file is we will hide one and make the other one visible. And so that you don't see both of them. And based on what it senses what the device with the device type you have. So then the navigation is here. That's the only thing we gave with, you have the ID of welcome, the ID of latest, and then we have the header that we're making different here. Right. And we had already made the responsive images last week also. So for the fluid layout is what we're designing towards is we want it to have, we'll be using a grid and a fluid grid. And for mobile site, we'll only have one column as we see here. And then for the tablet and the desktop, there will have the two or three columns is what I think we're designing for right now. So we'll be using the fluid layout. We'll have the grid, the media queries to detect what type of device size and orientation, and also the media type. And then there'll be, we're already using the responsive images. So in the CSS file this week, we're doing the reset for those elements. And then we have the style rules. And what we're adding next here is we have style rules for the mobile viewport. And so when it detects mobile, when the media query detects mobile, it's going to change it. It's going to display it and block. And then this is a style rule to show the mobile class and hide the desktop class. So it's going to hide the display as none. So it does the mobile and then it's going to hide the desktop. And then these are the style rules for the header, for the navigation, the footer area. So that's how it's just hiding it's hiding the other one right now. Let's see, next week, we're going to, the CSS is going to change. So then it will switch depending on what size of the viewport is. It'll switch from the tablet to the mobile. So this is tablet and desktop, and then when it gets smaller, it goes to the mobile. So this week is only the mobile, and next week is adding in. Actually, we can just do that now. The index.html is here. This is next week's. So we have the header with the div for the tab desk and the div for mobile. So let's see, go to the CSS. There's the resets. So we got the mobile viewport, and then we're hiding the desktop. And then navigation area, main footer content. All right, so now we have these media queries. So when it does this, it checks, it tells it to check what type of device, what the browser, it detects it, uh, and if it's a minimum width, so if it is a tablet viewport, it has to have a minimum width of 620 pixels. And then if it's less than that, it switches to this here. So if it's more than 620 pixels, it's going to use the tablet viewport there, the tab desk. So what it does is it switches the tab desk on and it hides the mobile. So it's going to hide the div on the index.html that had the .mobile class. So it's going to hide that. And then for the tablet viewport, it's going to style the thing differently here. And then there is a media query for the desktop viewport. So if it's a minimum width of 1000 pixels, then it switches to the desktop viewport. And there's some adjustments in here right now. To be adding more later, but this is all this week was. So this was week 5 and 6. And then there is a media query for the large desktop viewport. So that is adding those in there. What happens when you have a really large viewport? It's going to make the background. So the space that the page doesn't take up, it's going to add a background around that. So there's that, and then there's the media query for print. So that is 6.9. So that page still the same, but yeah, going to have media there. Partnership. This is on the smaller one. It's just a list. Let's see. It is. These it's gonna have a. It's just not large enough to switch to it here. We'll be adding a table and a gallery. So this gallery will, yeah, I think it just wasn't big enough for the table. So the gallery on a mobile device is only one column. On the tablet, it's two. And then if we look at it on the larger websites, it will be more. This is this week's, so this is the final one. Partnership is going to have a table, but then when you get to a smaller viewport, it switches to a list. The gallery going to have 3 images, and then for a certain size, it goes down to 2, and then for the mobile, it goes to 1. Great. And then for more information on these, there's MDN. They have information about using media queries. They allow you to apply CSS styles depending on the device's media type, and it could be also the screen resolution or the orientation, horizontal or vertical. So there's information on MDN, some more of the fundamental. Mobile first, they have some information about doing mobile first. A responsive web design is making responsive. This is a website that uses responsive web design, The Guardian. So it will just adjust as you make it different sizes. So here, so it adjusts like that. But there's also what's called adaptive web design, and there are sites that use this to try to speed things up. Adaptive, there will be actually different, they have different websites for different screen devices. So an example of this is USA Today. So when you go smaller, um, it's still all there. You just have to move this around. When it gets to a smaller size, it doesn't change for the mobile. And if it were to detect a mobile device, then it would have a different website displayed for the mobile device. And then Google has the mobile site and mobile first best practices out there. So that's another place to look. And that was this week's here. Just a very simple mobile first. And then that is it for this week. I thank you and wish you a great week.